What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic book movies, TV shows, and of course, we drink a beer of the week. This is your Cantina Hour for the week, where we will be talking Star Wars The Acolyte, the first 3 episodes, and also Lauren has some beer news about Anchor Brewing to share with you. So first things first, go ahead, like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff on social media. Bring people into the show. Very interactive show, man. We love chatting with each and everybody out there as I look through my phone camera to look for the comments. Uh, we love to do this. We haven't done it in a couple weeks. Lauren's been visiting here in Virginia. We've been traveling. We're getting ready to do a lot of cool traveling, but there has been a Star Wars show that just came out. So, we got to talk about The Acolyte. However, Hops Geek News, like I said, find us. Our beer of the week. Lauren, why don't you go ahead? I'm going to flip it to you. What is our beer of the week?
So our beer of the week, I actually picked up when I was in Philadelphia. This brewery came recommended by multiple people. It's called Human Robot. We didn't get to sit in there and have a beer because it's not one of the more kid-friendly breweries. But because it became so highly recommended, I ran in there as fast as I could. I told the guy, hey, I have, my husband and kids are in the car. You guys were very recommended. These are the styles I like. What do you recommend? The guy was so freaking nice. He instantly grabbed 2 4-packs for me. They were reasonably priced, and he gave me like a handful of stickers as well. And he was just so nice. And it made me even more sad that I didn't get to have a beer at the bar. But it is called Dreams of Organon. It is an IPA. I haven't even cracked it yet. I'm still over here pulling up the beer news and whatnot. But what was funny is right before this, Matt grabbed it because I gave one to Matt right before we went home.
You did.
And you said it looked a little like the symbol. And I said, well, what does Organon mean? I don't know if I'm just uncultured swine. I didn't know what it meant. So I did actually just look it up. And it already went away. It is an instrument for acquiring knowledge, the ancient roots. So the word organon has its roots in ancient Greek and means an instrument of acquiring knowledge, like I just said. Organon became the name of a Netherlands-based company that was established in 1923 and which grew as a European innovator and became known in the area of women's health.
Oh, that's interesting. I only grabbed it, like I said, because like the can kind of had some weird symbols on it. Dreams, and then also human robot, like Jedis are basically robots, especially in this episode.
But I mean, you can go even deeper now. You got an instrument for acquiring knowledge, women's health, and we're talking about witches.
That's true. We are talking about witches, a lot of things. So we are going to be spoiler filled with this episode. However, I want to kick things off. Come on, first of all, like I had to throw on the Dunkings, man. I haven't repped.
Oh, I didn't even notice the bright orange jacket you're wearing.
The bright orange Boston jacket. Oh man, what's up? I had to go for style. So we are all about the Dunkings. My mom is in the chat as I was talking on our episode that's going to be dropping on Monday, man, where we talk about geek culture, pop culture with Tom, our very, very dear friend. My mom has been watching The Acolyte. So if you have been watching The Acolyte, get in the chat, share with your friends. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Share anywhere out there. Get some people in here, man. Help the podcast grow, obviously. And then Lauren, so to kick it off, hit us with your beer news real quick before we go into Star Wars The Acolyte.
So if anybody who's been following us from the start, obviously we got our roots, our ground, or how we met was through Hops News, and I used to do a regular beer school. So I actually have a little bit of Anchor Brewing beer school because Anchor Brewing actually just got bought by a very unexpected buyer. Chobani Yogurt actually just decided to buy them. And why this is so important, this is a brewery that has huge roots in the States. It brought basically craft beer to the States. It very much so helped do that. It survived Prohibition. So we're going to kick off before we start talking about The Acolyte. Here is some fun stuff about Anchor Brewing. And if you're not familiar with Anchor Brewing, it is in San Francisco. And they actually closed about a year ago. So here we go. Anchor Brewing was born in 1896 after the owners bought it from a brewer who had been there for 25 years. The demand for beer in this area was directly related to the gold rush, and they made beer that was good enough to serve everyone who had traveled west. Anchor had a lot of setbacks in the early 1900s. One of the owners suddenly died, and then an earthquake destroyed the brewery via a fire. And then the other owner was actually killed in the most San Francisco way ever. He was killed via trolley cart or streetcar.
Jesus.
Then Prohibition hit. Well, we did the tour when we went to the brewery years ago, and I was like, what is going on? Because we had also gone to a winery where they're like, the owner was eaten alive by alligators. I was like, what? This is a crazy vacation. So during Prohibition, I love this fun fact. There's no record of what Anchor did, but they magically managed to survive, and they had beer ready to pour as soon as Prohibition ended. That's
interesting.
It's especially interesting because so many other breweries made cheese, made ice cream, did near beer. They did all these things to serve.
Ooh, do you want to know a fun fact about cheese real quick?
I always
All
love.
right, I got something really cool for you guys that I learned. So in the old or like 1907, dairy farmers were actually really hard up. They needed cash, they needed money. So the government bought like $2 billion worth of cheese to sustain these dairy farmers. Now, here's the
Is this
fun
maybe a
part.
dad joke or is this a
They
real fun
no,
fact?
this is dead. This is real
Okay.
history. This is real. They bought $2 billion worth of cheese, and you know what they've done with it is they put it. There's like in Missouri, yeah, Missouri around Kansas City and stuff like that. There's actually like tunnel or like not like underground, bunkers and stuff like that, filled with cheese that the government bought and they've been sitting on for all of these years. Like this is real stuff. You can look it up. Like
Government
this is dead
cheese.
ass real. I feel like I'm one of those stereotypical guys right now. Like you see
Like
on
a
TikTok,
conspiracy
like
theory.
like listen to me, listen, the government cheese, but this is real. Like I've wanted to write a comic book about like the end of the world and this community needs food. And so this person goes out to find cheese to bring back because it's a real thing. There's actual cheese.
I mean, is it cheese that ages well? Because not all cheese ages well.
Look, I don't know. I just know there was a legit
I'm
cheese
sure just
mine.
like the
So
cheese is old and moldy.
I mean, mold cheese is mold, isn't it?
I think it was I mean some cheese that's the cheese is old and moldy is from a movie.
Oh,
I forget what movie it is. Somebody's learning a language. Maybe Wayne's World? No, not
Wayne's
Wayne's
I don't
World.
know. Anyways, back
If
to
you know what movie
Anchor
I'm
real
talking
quick
about,
before
let
we
me
get to
know.
the
Or maybe I'm
acolyte.
just
Like,
crazy. I think it was PBR that stayed alive because they made Kraft mac and cheese, Kraft cheese. I don't remember.
oh, anyways,
Okay, so then in 1944, the brewery burned down again, but was quickly reopened elsewhere. Sadly, though, because Americans were suddenly obsessed with very light, shitty macro beers at the time, the sales were meh. So they closed, and then someone else reopened it. Sadly, that someone else didn't seem to do a great job with brewing the beer. So enter Fritz Maytag. That name may sound familiar.
it
In
does.
1965, Anchor was going bankrupt. So Fritz Maytag, yes, as in the washing machine Maytag, hence the ability to buy a
In
brewery.
my dishwasher?
Yeah, the same one.
That's
Stepped
crazy.
in and bought a controlling share of Anchor for $5,000. By 1968, he owned the whole thing and was learning how to brew properly. He then invested in new equipment and refined the steam beer recipe. I
Oh.
love that then you could buy a brewery and then learn to brew, and now it's like you learn to brew and then you buy a
And then you go
brewery.
out of business 3 years later.
Well, not Sam Adams, the guy who bought Goose Island, like, he got in it for the money, so it made sense when he sold. Great book, barrel-aged stout and selling out,
Sam Adams is
fantastic
in Tim Kalk or Jim Kalk,
book.
whatever his name is. Boston Beer Company is actually in talks of to sell as well. Just heads up.
That would be actually kinda sad. Okay, so what is steam beer? Steam was created in America and was a result of everyone showing up during the gold rush, like we had mentioned, and beer needing to be made quick. Since they couldn't make that much beer on demand properly as a lager, because a lager takes more time to ferment, they created steam beer. They used lager malts most of the time, but fermented it at ale temperatures, which are generally warmer than lager fermenting temperatures. Then the wort was left to ferment in wide, shallow clarifying tanks and then packaged immediately without conditioning it. This all took less than a week. Actually, kind of sounds like how they do cold IPAs, where they mix up like it's an ale, but it's a lager
Ah,
yeast or da 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 da, or they do the different temperatures. It's also fun. I really miss going into the beer schools. Okay, so as far as the name steam beer, there are a couple theories on where it got that name. One is the rooftop cool ships that were used to make the beer steamed as it cooled. Another theory is based on the beer itself and the pressure or steam it had in the packaging. Refrigeration set the style back a bit, but Anchor kept it alive. In 1981, Maytag actually trademarked steam beer. So if other breweries wanted to make it, they actually called it a California Common. And what's funny is we recently created a Mickey Mouse logo for us. We're going to be getting stickers on that hopefully soon. If
we
you haven't seen
did.
that
We have a
picture,
whole Steamboat Mickey. Our Patreons are probably going to get some first cracks with some friendship bracelets, maybe friendship bracelets. And yes, but we do have a new Steamboat Mickey Hops Geek News logo picture to roll out that Lauren actually drew. It's gonna be pretty dope.
but I wanted to call it Steam Beer Willie, but we didn't
Oh.
go with that because Steam Beer is trademarked, unlike
Maybe we'll get
Steamboat
some
Willie.
new glasses too if anybody likes some.
We
Anyways, we
need
are
new.
gonna get to the acolyte. I promise people, but we had to hit this beer news real quick because Lauren is an expert. An expert.
Yes. So I'm almost done here, I promise. Back to the Anchor timeline. In 1972, Anchor Brewing created the first modern porter. How fun is that? It was called Anchor Porter and it's still brewed today. Well, I don't know if it's been brewed in a little bit, but hopefully that yogurt company starts brewing it again quickly.
In their
Side note,
yogurts, nonetheless.
Fritz Maytag put Cascade hops into their beers before Sierra Nevada did, 5 years before. And by
Crazy.
1975, Anchor Beer had begun a brewing revolution. This is a quote from their website. In 1977, they then moved to their current location. And in 93, Maytag, once again ahead of the trends, became the first brewery to start distilling. Sadly,
Interesting.
that still did not save them. So, since we want to get into the Acolyte and we're not just a beer podcast these days, fast forward in 2017, they actually sold to Sapporo. And then last year, they actually decided to close completely. And this beer actually even made an appearance in Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania, and
It
I remember
did.
getting so excited about that, and a few months after the movie came out is when they announced they were closing, but we will see where they go now.
We
That's
will.
what I got.
Well, yeah. So Chobani's gonna buy him, perhaps. I guess we'll see how it goes. Maybe they'll start making beer flavored yogurt, man. Who knows? I had no idea. But Anchor's team, yeah, we all
Anchor's
live and
team's
die like
fantastic. And this was the
Anchor's.
first Christmas in years we didn't have Anchor.
That's true. That's true. I always see the things like Yingling, the oldest brewery in America. But truthfully, man, Anchor has got to be Yingling's good. But don't let my dad see that. My mom's still watching. Don't show Dan. But yeah, man, I do miss some beer school. We were once upon a time. So we try to bring it back on our Cantina Hours once in a bit because it is fun to talk about, and Lauren's so exceptionally good at it. But let's dive in, if you will, to don't mess with your Yingling. I know Tom. Tom loves his Yingling. I know he does.
Yingling's a good lager, but I think
It's
Anchor's
a good
better.
summer beer. I do
But
agree,
it's like
but
you literally have one beer that's like, "Oh, that's good."
true.
Eh.
Meh. Well, speaking of meh, this actually I don't think is meh at all. But let's dive into the Acolyte. Let's dive into the Acolyte a little bit. It's the first 3 episodes are out now. 2 episodes last week, and then last night was episode 3. And I gotta say, man, I don't miss the days where people, Star Wars social media couldn't just shut the fuck up. Because oh my god,
Isn't
dude.
that a Blink song? To shut the fuck up, she said.
Maybe yes, dude, just scrolling through. I've seen
I'm
some pretty big
shocked at some of the comments.
I mean, I am, but I'm not. But these big TikTokers out there are like Star Wars is dead, and Jedi. I'm getting ahead of myself, but the Jedi are not. They're showing them as these religious murderous nuts, and it's like, oh, buddy, we'll get into it. But episode 1, because we haven't got a chance to talk about it. I talked about it on Nerd Initiative, which you can go check on the YouTube. But Lauren was traveling, so we didn't get to do a Cantina Hour and actually talk our feelings. Because we didn't even talk about this in person. We don't typically tend to talk about this stuff together in person, probably because we do it here.
It's not just us,
which is funny. And it's also not just us, but yeah. So episode 1, what were your initial thoughts on, the first episode?
Oh, I have to go back to think. So I was surprised that they, the lady from the Matrix, I was very excited to see her, but I did think that they're probably going to do flashbacks because you're not just going to waste a character like that so fast. At first I was kind of like, okay, really, we're doing the evil twin thing. I didn't love that. But now that we're getting more backstory, I'm liking the backstory more and it's making more sense. I am enjoying it though, but I also know that it's not complete. I'm not going to judge it yet because I feel like I don't know what the story is. It's like sometimes a good ending can make, a mediocre story fantastic.
Right.
So I just, you
yeah.
know, but no, I liked it. I thought the fight scenes were fantastic. I really like the dude from Squid Games, Soul.
Oh,
I really
yes.
like him. I know some people have some complaints about him, but I thought he was great. He seems genuine.
It's very impressive that he learned to speak English for the show.
Oh
People don't
shit, I
realize
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's not fluent in English. He's learned to speak English literally for the show, which is impressive.
I mean, you can clearly tell it's not his first language, but holy shit.
Yeah, it's vastly impressive, dude. So impressive. I think it really is. But I knew right away that when we saw in the trailers Carrie-Anne Moss, Trinity, if you will, from Matrix, I knew she was gonna die.
Jessica Jones.
She did. So
I really like her. I wish she was
May shows up in episode 1 and they get into this battle, and then of course I didn't like I'll be honest, beginning I didn't really like May very much. I don't really know how I feel about her yet. I'll say that. I'll preface this. I don't think, but I'm loving the show, but I don't know how I feel about her as a character yet. The whole Jedi don't draw their lightsabers unless they're prepared to kill somebody or something. And then I just think in my head, all the times that a Jedi has pulled a lightsaber for no reason, but I
But
mean,
this
we
is
might
100
have.
years before. I mean, look at the, think 100 years ago right now was 1924. I mean, that's
Jesus.
a
Wow. I
drastically
mean,
different time.
you're right. And so I've seen people out there complaining like, why are they showing us Coruscant labeled? Why are these buildings different? People forget this is 100 years before. This takes place 132 years BBY. So this takes place, it's literally 100 years before the Phantom Menace. Palpatine's not even born yet. So people are
Mhm.
theorizing that, oh, it's Darth Plagueis, oh, it's Palpatine, but Palpatine's not even born yet, guys. Like
Yeah.
he's not around yet. So it's clearly not him. Now, whether or not we get Darth Plagueis is a different story. I don't think we do. Because I have a theory about a certain character in a second.
Ooh.
We it was I thought the fight sequences were very Japanese style, like George Lucas loved the whole like with lightsabers are supposed to be heavy. It's like a samurai battle. So when they leaned into some of those really cool force things, we also see the Jedi using mind control, which is very un-Jedi like of you.
Mhm.
Soul is a little interesting. We see some of that in episode one. And I also agree with this, like the Jedi don't dress the same, and also like the way that they dress, like it's very bright. They wear like bright colored clothes with like the
This is
whites
like their
and
80 version of the 80s.
yeah, they're going through a phase, right? So I did really enjoy that. But episode one overall, I thought was pretty solid. What was your take on the twin aspect?
I didn't love it at first. I do very much so like it more now. But what was interesting is when they, showed the murder. Obviously, we know without a doubt this is the person that did it. And then when they go to confront May or Osha, I'm like, why do I believe her when I saw her murder this person? Like I was
I
so
was with you on that one. Yes.
So then that made more sense when they showed it. And I also was like, why was she so quick to shoot at her twin? But now it makes more sense after watching episode 3 because she does think that her sister did these. Although I think there's way more to that story. But it was also interesting seeing
So,
Tommen. What was Tommen's name
oh,
again?
Torben. Yes. He was sitting there. Yeah, in episode two. So going into episode two real quick, uh, Torben is one of the Jedi. So May has to kill four. It turns out May has to kill four Jedi. So Sith acolytes, if you haven't read my article or anything like that, Sith acolytes essentially they're not quite Sith apprentices yet. So there's always a rule of two in this time of period. Darth Bane started the rule of two. So we have this masked Sith who presumably is the Sith apprentice. We don't know who he is or she. They've got a voice modulator. They got the lightsaber. They're masked, like I said, with a cool helmet. They task May with needing to kill four Jedi. So we see May battling these Jedi, trying to take their lightsaber because Sith must kill a Jedi and take their weapon and complete their task of doing that before they can take the Kyber crystal from the Jedi's lightsaber and bleed it and corrupt it. That's the whole thing. So acolytes are Sith wannabes. They want to be trained in the Sith dark
So they're
force using.
They're Sith
They're
Padawans.
basically they're right before they're a step below Padawans, basically. So yeah, more or less, right? Like they just don't get to do any of the cool stuff yet. So you have the Sith Master, the Sith Apprentice, and so the Sith Apprentice, before that they can kill the Master, must find their apprentice because of the rule too. So that's kind of like an acolyte is. They believe in the Sith mantra, all of that stuff. And so she has to kill four Jedi, the four Jedi that did some horrible thing. We don't know what it is.
Why wouldn't the
And
Jedi just mind their damn business?
because of the Jedi, this is
We
showing the
want to make
hubris
sure
and the
there aren't
arrogance.
children here.
Yeah, and so she's trying to do that. She
What are you,
rolls upon in
PCF?
episode 2. Torben is sitting in one of the old temples because it's the High Republic. So Jedi had temples all over the place. Like this was a time the Jedi were thriving. They don't really have any enemies at this point. The Nihil were defeated, and they're kind of in this political game because in episode 1 we see Soul talking, and they're worried about their political adversaries finding out Jedi are being killed, and they want to keep it very hush hush. And so in episode 2, we then see May go here, and Torben is looking rough. He's got the receding hairline, the beard. He's taking on the bearish vow, which for Jedi, it's to reconnect with the Force. Like they've done something so bad that they have to basically shut themselves off from everything, and they reconnect with the Force. So he's floating in air. He's got this force field of the Force around him. He doesn't talk. He hasn't talked in about 10 years or whatever it may be. and she can't get through to
Well,
him. And
the guilt is killing him. He knows they did something wrong, and he even says, "We
yeah,
thought what we were doing was right." And he was a
exactly.
child then, so he was just, following orders. He was
Oh, the
being a
makeup.
good
Can we talk about the
Padawan.
makeup department for that? Like making him look as old as he does as Torben,
I didn't
floating.
recognize him at all, and then when
I
somebody was
didn't
like, "Oh,
either.
Tommen from Game of Thrones," I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
And then he looked more
dude.
like himself in the flashback, but they gave him, like, an '80s, like, what do you call it when you're starting to lose your hair
Well, his
here?
hair was his receding hairline
Receding
and everything like
hairline.
that. Yeah, I can relate.
But it
Oh
was like
gosh.
if he had a receding hairline and it was 1985.
Dude, it was the 80s, man.
Well, I was gonna say that would make sense with the first movie coming out in the '70s, but no, that doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't, but it was cool though, like how the makeup department, because in episode 3 we see him in as a Padawan, he's very young. But yeah, so whatever they did, he's racked with guilt. This is where May goes and she meets up with Quymere, who is played by our dude from The Good Place, Manny Jacinto. And now
I
I'm on
wasn't
to
sure
him.
that was him with how he looked,
Oh,
man.
I'm on to
But then
him.
I saw him and I just wanted to yell, "Duval."
Yeah, yeah, he's a big Jaguars fan, man.
He
If
was
you haven't
good,
seen The Good Place, he's very good in The Good Place. Like that's where he kind of got his big. He's been in other stuff, but The Good Place is where
but
we
I
know him.
loved him. I loved his character because he was very matter of, like, he sold her out right away, and she's like, "You sold me out," and he's like, "Yeah, of course I did."
Also, he said there is no peace. Like he recited the opening line to the Sith Creed. He knows about the Jedi. He's following her around. I think he is the man in the mask.
Do you?
I am convinced that he is the Sith apprentice training her, tasking her with killing 4 Jedi.
Now we saw Mama, but we didn't see the other one who was more, like, out for blood, and I thought maybe it could even be her. Was it
True.
Mother
I
Coral?
f I forget her name, I'll be honest with you.
I just wanna know, yeah.
I'll have to
Coral.
I'll look it up, but you're right though. But I'm convinced that he's not who he says he is. There's
I
no
think
way.
there's more to him. He's like that stoner guy that's actually a genius and is
That's
the
what I'm
one with,
saying. Like,
it's like a
I'm
Kaiser
convinced
Soze situation, yeah.
he's without a doubt. And so we see him make up this poison and she takes it back. She gives it to Torben, who comes out of his little, his
He
vow and drinks it
voluntarily took
willingly
it, yeah.
and kills himself. Like I thought that was kind of silly. Like
I
that
feel
was
like he
weird.
was, like, doing something for her, like, he was just ridden with guilt and, like, maybe he felt that that was, like, a redemption to
Maybe
but, I mean, she must have known that he was going to willingly take it, otherwise, why would
was she
it's like
getting?
that scene when Jamie goes to I don't know why do I keep going back to Game of Thrones? Because 'cause we're the guys from Game of Thrones.
He
When
is,
he
yeah.
goes to, was it Lady Tyrell? What's the really pretty girl from Captain America who was gonna marry Tommen, and then when she died, Tommen killed himself? Her
Tyrell. Yeah,
grandmother.
yeah, yeah, Tyrell. Yeah. Oh god, Natalie
Okay.
Dormier was so hot.
Yes, yes. So her grandmother, like, she voluntarily took the poison when Jamie gave it to her. So it was like, the person's, like, going to take it and be happy to take it if you're just like, "Here, drink this." I mean,
Yeah.
she
I mean,
had to have known that was gonna happen.
I want the Jedi to know it was me. But you're right. I mean, he took it very willingly. They come in and and shout out to my man Yord. Yord stands on business. That dude's ready to pull that lightsaber at any moment. Like I love that guy.
I like his character,
I
but
love
we
it.
know who he is. We know he's the guy that's like, "I'm a Jedi, and Jedi are cool," and he's still a young Jedi, and
He
he's
is.
very much like, I'm a Jedi," and it's like,
We
he
all
I don't know.
I would be the same. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I would be the same. Dude, I'm a Jedi. I stand on business. I got this lightsaber. I'm gonna use it.
I mean, it makes sense, like, he's young, I mean, it could have gone worse. He could have gone full dark side and murdered a room full of younglings. So, I'd rather have a cocky young Jedi than an angry young Jedi yelling,
I
"It
mean,
isn't fair."
that's perfectly fair. Perfectly fair. I get that. But dude, I loved it, man. Like I love
If the
him.
Jedi had a
He's awesome.
fraternity, he'd be in it.
Oh, he would absolutely be hazing people without a doubt. Would be hazing people as a Jedi. But he again, like he knows who he is. Like I respect it fully. I'm down with this. And so basically though, like he's there. They find him dead. Then they go down to this area, and Soul and May kind of meet. And Soul's very protective of Osha. Like his whole thing is he's very, very protective of Osha. That was his Padawan. You kind of get Qui-Gon vibes from him. And
Mhm. Or more
So
even Obi-Wan and Anakin.
yeah,
I feel
true.
like it's
Yeah.
a big brother-sister thing, and you even see, like, that the moment at the end of season 3, like, he was so touched to be comforting her, and he instantly had, like, a very innocent, sweet connection to her, and he
Yeah.
it's like a very much so older, because I don't wanna say father figure, because I feel like they're not that far apart, maybe they are, but it was just he wants what's best for her. He doesn't want her to ever, and I would guess we're gonna see her leaving the Jedi Order, and I would guess that he was
Oh,
probably
we're
like,
gonna see all
"Whatever
that. Yeah.
you want, I support that."
I definitely agree we're gonna see that stuff. And he does some cool things again, like the Force. He doesn't ever pull his lightsaber. May is trying to go after him. He like stops her in midair, and then again he reads her mind. And then at the end of episode 2 is when Osha and May realize that each other are alive. They thought each other were dead. They didn't realize each other were alive, which is very interesting. They thought each other were dead. And that brings us into last night's episode, which is episode 3, which takes place flashback sequence. Now, I have to start with something that kind of it didn't bother me, but I noticed is like
It was no, you said it, and I thought the exact same thing. Exact same thing.
so the girls who play the now obviously Amandla Stenberg plays May and Osha. They're identical twins. However, the girls that are playing May and Osha are not identical, and you can tell the difference. So I just like picked this up last night when we saw it because we get a whole episodes of flashback. We're here with these. I think they're witches. You know, they're kind
Mhm.
of like night
Like the witches of
sisters,
Dathomir, yeah.
right? Dathomir, and so like obviously it's funny. What's up, our boy Riley in the chat? Love you, man. That Riley's one of the best dudes we've ever. He's the most supportive. Like God, I love that kid. He's like a little brother to me. Speaking of family and Star
He's like
Wars,
a
but
son to me because he's
yeah.
Haley's age.
But no, like they don't look exactly, and it's a minor nitpick. It doesn't take me out of the moment or
I
anything
wonder
like
if they
that.
almost did it intentional. Well, for one, it's gotta probably be hard to be like, "We need a younger actor that looks just like her, that could be younger, that are twins, that can act." At first, I thought the acting was meh,
Right.
but I do think the acting got a little better.
Well,
But
they
I
are
also
actual sisters
wonder.
in real life. Fun fact.
Oh, yeah. I'd be shocked if they weren't. But I almost wonder if they picked 2 girls that looked a little different to help us, the audience, know who's who.
I think they must have. We love you too, man. Seriously, if you're in the chat, everybody hop in the chat. Let us know what you think.
What do you
Again, our
put
boy
what
Riley. I
up?
love chat. I love Riley so much. Love
Riley is
him.
a sweetheart, for
He's
sure.
he's the best out there, man. And if you're a young strapping girl of the age of 20, we got a man for you, first of all. But anyways, going back to this episode, we see that the witches have basically, I know people are complaining. So we have what's her mother Anicia, and then we also
It
have
was
Coral,
Mama and Mother Coral is
Mama
what I
and Mother
remembered.
Coral. Yeah, so they're all witches. It's all a witch coven. There's no men there. They
I mean, what do you need men for?
Coral
Especially if they can create babies
well, that's the thing is
men,
so Coral
create
carried
a
the
perfect
twins.
society.
Mother Anicia, Mama, created them. So people are like, "What do you mean they created?" I thought Anakin. Well, so my theory, going off of this,
Yeah, we need
Darth
more
Darth
info.
Plagueis is going to play into this somehow because if you think about it, Anakin was essentially also crafted from the Force. So if one person can do it, I don't have a problem if Force users kind of have figured out how to manipulate and create babies. I don't. It's Star Wars. We move the stuff with our mind. We can fucking use lightsabers. Don't have a problem. Now,
Mhm.
I kind of almost wonder because Darth Plagueis figured out how to mess around, and maybe he was the reason, or maybe Palpatine's the one who created Anakin because Anakin never had a
I always thought it was
father.
Palpatine, but then that would make Rey and Ben related, and that's gross.
Yeah, so I think it might have been Darth Plagueis because Darth Plagueis kind of figured out how to save people from death, right, and create life.
Mhm.
And so I wonder if he knew how to do this, and maybe if Mother Anicia kind of plays into Darth Plagueis in some weird way. But basically, they created the twins, and they want them to ascend in their witchdom. They talk about this thread a lot, right? The connect with the thread, see the thread, and the Jedi show up. They show up at the night of the ascension. Osha doesn't want to do this. May very much does. May is sparky. She's spunky. She's filled with a lot of angst,
She's
and
like Anakin, she wants to go to space.
she is. Yeah, I mean, really, like they're very opposite for twins, and so
Well, Also, just going back to, like, the Anakin thing, like, they both have a supportive mother that wants what's best for them, doesn't want them to leave, and they both, like, want to leave, but don't want to leave their mother, so I saw a lot
Right.
of parallels between a young Annie and May. No, Osha. I keep getting them freaking confused. I don't know why.
I know who you're talking about.
May
I get what
bad,
you mean.
Osha good. Okay.
So May's bad, Osha good, and so there is parallels. Like May is very much, ready to fight at a moment's notice, throw hands. Osha wants to just go explore, man. She doesn't want to do this. She doesn't want to be a witch. And this is a witch coven. Now enter the Jedi, where we see Leandra, we see our boy Torben, we see Soul, and then of course my favorite Jedi is the Wookiee Jedi. And I forget his name. I'm so sorry. He's
Oh,
my favorite. Yet Kalneka. He's
yeah, there
Kalneka.
you go.
He they come strolling in and they're like, hey, we didn't realize that this planet had life. We thought this planet had no life. Our ship is here. And then it comes to find out that
And
they
I
were
like the
watching them.
response though. "Oh, the Jedi didn't sense life here?" Like, they totally called them on their bullshit right away, which I thought was
Well,
hilarious.
so what is your take? Do you think these witches are force users as well? Because that's what I thought.
Well, 100%. Yeah, I think they're
Yeah.
Force users. And I think they're using the Force in a different way than the Jedi. I don't know that it's necessarily evil, but they're using it in not a legal way, so to speak. I mean, the Jedi, I feel like, are definitely overusing their power, but I also think that they're being manipulated from the top. I feel like it gets with so many things. It's like politics are bad on both sides. Nobody's right. Like there's always hidden strings pulling it. And like you're seeing Mama be a great mother and want nothing
Yeah.
but good for her kids and want to protect her kids and like she would die for her kids. Like you can tell that. You can tell
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
she's
You can sense that.
yeah, you sense that she's a good person, and then you saw the old lady that reminded me of,
Coral.
"Gonna dig a
Oh, the
little
other. Oh, yeah.
deeper."
Yeah. No, I know you're talking about. Yeah. She was very much like, fuck these guys.
Where she was so creepy and like the elder, and no, she walked out, she's like Mama Odie, I think is her name in Princess and the Frog. Um, she was the CGI on her was a little,
Oh, yeah, she had like that. Oh god, it was like, "Rah, they
yeah,
need to do this."
right, it was like if they did a live version of Princess and the Frog, but it was like how they did live
It's like
version of The
her
Lion
face
King, that's
melted.
what she would look like.
Yeah, she melted. She was like melted like Play-Doh or something. I don't know, man.
Maybe she
Yeah,
lived on
she
Mustafar for a while.
but you're right. Mother Anicia was very much like the supportive mom who's like, they should honestly get their church because the Jedi showed up and they're like, all right, yeah, we are. They it comes to find out they call the mother bullcrap, and the Jedi were watching them the whole time. And
Right.
they're like, you clearly have two girls here. Come out here. Osha comes out, May comes out, and Soul shows Osha the lightsaber. And then there was another thing where I saw people complaining about this, like, "Oh, you're just going to show him a lightsaber? Do you think? Oh, what have we
That
become,
did
dude?"
seem a little bit dangerous. What if that kid pushes the button and out comes zoom, and then just, you lose an arm?
Now,
Those
in
things
some
are
lore of
dangerous.
Star Wars, your Jedi are very connected through the Force with their lightsaber, so a lightsaber doesn't turn on necessarily like that.
Oh, is
Like a
it like the
force
TARDIS,
user, a
just
force
snap it
user can
on
kind of well, I mean,
like
other
David
people
Tennant?
can use their lightsabers, so it's not like foolproof, right? But like lightsabers are an extension of their body through the force,
If
and
anyone's gonna
it tells you.
figure out how to turn on a deadly weapon, it will be a child.
True. Number one. Number two. You're telling me straight. So you're telling me to my face, if somebody showed up, showed you a real life lightsaber, you wouldn't be like, "Where do I sign? Get me on the plane. Let's go." Right? Are you? You're telling me as a grown ass man or woman
I
out
mean,
there
you might
making these
as
videos?
well have a white van that says free candy.
Listen, if somebody showed up right now and was like, "Leave your family. I got this lightsaber. Come, bye. All right, kids. I'll send credits in the mail because I'm gonna go play with a real lightsaber. Like you guys will be all right. There's therapy. Whatever. Maybe you too can get a lightsaber. Who knows? I'd be on that in a heartbeat,
One
dude.
day.
Heartbeat, without a doubt. But people complained about it because, of course, they did. And that's when they were basically like, "Hey, come back tomorrow. That's where we're gonna do the test." And that's when
Like,
they all
Mother
meet up.
Coral's like, "Let's go kill them all
Yeah, they
now."
were like, they got their bows out and everything. And Anicia's like, "Hey, whoa, 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 man, whoa, chill." Like, but I do like Mother Coral. She's like, "We're gonna go kill them all right now." And I was like, first of all, no, you're not. Those Jedi will cut you to pieces.
I mean, they've, threatened to take kids away from the mother, though. The mother will do
But
anything.
they do show up. But that's and then another thing is like these people are complaining that Jedi are like these religious fanatics that take kids. Yeah, actually they are. Obi-Wan was
Yeah.
taken when he was like 3 years old, dude.
I know he
These
doesn't even remember his family.
Jedi go out there and they actively search for people who, they potential Force users, and they take them very young because before they can form attachments. That's what the Jedi do. Yes, Jedi are a religious cult. They are through and through. Jedi are not good guys. They may come off as good guys, but they are very flawed. And Jedi are not good, as we're starting to see.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do feel like that there are religious people who are genuinely good, and I feel like somebody like Obi-Wan
Soul
Kenobi
or
is
Obi-Wan, yeah.
one of those people, like, he genuinely wanted to do good, and he genuinely thought that that was what the Jedi were, and I think there were many Jedi who truly thought that that's and, like, you even heard the one guy say, "We thought we were doing good. We thought we were doing right."
Yeah.
And, like and what's really
Sure.
sad is when you have people like that that literally make sacrifices and are doing things they don't necessarily want to do because they think it's for the betterment of everybody. But, I mean, who knows who's controlling all the strings behind all of this? We might find out. Senator Palpatine was, talking with the Jedi Council before, like, you don't know who's pulling the strings in the background and manipulating people and
You
everything.
really don't. I
It's
mean, you
really
really
sad
don't.
because when you have an organization that seems like they are doing good and they do care and you meet people like Obi-Wan, it's extra shitty when you realize they're not doing good because you don't know what these Jedi were told before they went there. They could have
Well,
been told, like, "These children are being groomed to be evil. They're you tapping into the dark
I mean,
side of the
they're
Force."
with a bunch of witches who are doing some shady stuff potentially. Yeah.
Right, but everything we saw with those witches and the children seemed like they cared about the children, like they were
Well,
protecting the children, that they were carrying on their race
here's the thing is
and their personal beliefs.
you're always going to be the villain in somebody else's story, right? So,
Well, that's not a
from a certain point of view, Anakin, only the Sith deal in absolutes. I got my prequel trilogy shirt from Roosevelt's on, by the way. If you want to go tell Roosevelt's you saw it here, just let us know because I love Roosevelt. So if you just want to throw the door.
I bought this
Anyways,
Ninja Turtle tank top on Amazon.
yeah. So the next night, May and Osha get their test done. We see Torben take the blood sample. And then Soul kind of plays a
Which
trick with
again,
the thing, the screen.
comparison to Annie. And
Yes.
again,
Well, they're
comparison
playing the
to Annie.
midichlorians, right?
Yeah,
But then
but where did we
they're
see all that for the first time?
we did with a Qui-Gon. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he's like, "What is this?" And she's like, "It's a starship." That's right. And then he catches her when she's like, "That's not
that
this,"
was
because they were
smart.
told to lie, which it was
Mhm.
wicked smart. And he was like, "Did somebody tell you to lie?" And at that point, basically, Osha confesses, and she decides that she wants to go become a Jedi. She tells that, and then May turns from Zero to murderous sister in a heartbeat, and decides to trap Osha in her room, lights it on fire, and
Like
from
somebody
there,
else told her to do that.
well, I'll get to that. So because Osha gets trapped, she finds her way out, and then she opens up to the room where all of the witches are dead. And Soul is
Which
running looking for her
that
soul, and
happened
then he
really
finds
fast.
her. So here's my thing. That's where we leave off, basically. The witches are dead. May ends up falling in a
Ding
hole,
dong, the
potentially
witch is
dying.
dead.
Obviously, we know she's not dead. Soul takes Osha. They go off and do their thing. I don't think that's what actually happened that night
I
because
think that's
there's
what
no
happened.
way. There's got to be more to this story because there's no way Torben takes the bearish vow. Soul and all of them are so eaten up that, our boy out there, Kalneka is out there in the woods, basically living a
Yeah, none
very.
of them went back. Like, he didn't go back to the Jedi
That's what I'm
temple.
saying.
Yeah,
They all have
100%.
dispersed.
Yeah.
There's more to this story. Way more to this story. I don't know what it is. There's something else. There's no way that this was the bad thing that happened that caused everybody to basically go in exile.
No, I'd be shocked if we don't find out more, like and I mean, what did they all pass out right there collectively from smoke inhalation? That doesn't make any sense at all.
They didn't look
And
like they have any lightsaber wounds at all.
Soul
So
well, and Soul said that, he tried to save both girls, and I don't know if he physically meant save or he meant because, like, obviously May was already leaning
they
towards
felt the bridge. Both also like fell, and so May fell down, and he grabbed
No,
Osha.
I get that, but I feel like he wanted to save them more in not just a physical way,
Oh
in a
yeah,
way of,
yeah, 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 yeah.
because he probably truly thought they were going dark side in that regard.
Well, I mean, the Jedi, right? They're this holistic. Again, they're very worried about this. Is the Jedi have no enemies at this point? The Sith are gone. The
That they know
Nihil are
of.
gone.
The
Right.
Sith aren't gone.
They're worried about their political enemies,
They're in the
right? That this is
shadows.
an age where the Jedi, this is the start of their downfall that we see through the prequel trilogy up until the rise of the Empire. The High Republic basically kicks off the downfall of the Jedi. Their hubris, their egos, their political pawns. And I think you're right, because to Jedi, these witches might have been using the Force not for necessarily bad, witch. But to the Jedi,
God,
they
witches
they
get
think
such a
it's,
bad rap. It's so not fair.
well, again, they think that these witches are using the Force for bad because it's not what the Jedi use the Force for. So to them, it is, from their point of
Yeah.
view, it is evil.
So I will say the one thing I thought was a little bit hypocritical was Mama was talking shit about the Jedi, basically saying they use the Force for evil. We see it as a thread and it connects things. And I loved her just eloquently like describing all of it and connecting all of it. And then she goes and does that like dark side mind control thing
Yeah.
with Marvin. I'm like, pot
Oh,
kettle
that
black.
was cool.
That was pretty cool to see, but it was like, come
Well,
on, man.
okay, no, I don't think that, I actually will defend her in that, because I think that's like, think about it. If someone's threatening your kids, wouldn't you try to scare them off?
Oh, of course I would.
That's what I think she was. I don't think she was coming from a demonic place, because she released him right away. But she, you know, well, okay,
But
actually,
that
her,
was a
I actually,
calculated risk.
with her, I kind of do think it was. If it's, I think she was kind of. But Mother Anicia was like, release them, because, but she's a mother. Like, doesn't want her children taken. The
But
Jedi
that was
take
also a risk
kids.
because the Jedi could have busted out lightsabers if,
That's true too.
she
Also,
had
I mean, very
Kaminople.
much. But the Jedi, I think it was more of like, they don't think the Jedi are ever going to just cut down innocent people. And so that's where she was backed into a corner.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just going on, but all in all, though, there's more to the story. Like, there's no way that is what happened that night. Like,
Right.
there's something else at play here. And now, obviously, May is alive. Episode 4 is allegedly supposed to be a really, really good episode. And I'm telling you, man, I got feelings. I think May is going to die and Osha will become the actual Sith apprentice. And because there's going to be more than one season, from what we've kind of heard. And I'm very, very convinced that Quimir is he's the Sith apprentice. And I think there's another Sith master we haven't met yet, and we might not meet this season, but
So do you think they're going to connect it in this season to anybody we know? Like, not from books or comics, if anybody we know on the screens.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the Jedi massacred that village or something. Something happened. I don't think we're seeing things as they actually. There's always three sides to the story, right? You got their side, and
And
the
the
actual
truth.
truth. And I think the truth is going to be more in the middle, where the Jedi did something really messed up. And then I think it's going to come down to, I got a feeling that Soul is going to potentially die at the end of the season.
No.
Because you got to because I think it's so. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think Soul's going to end up dying, which is going to, May and Soul will
Sacrifice
probably
himself
die.
for Osha.
Yeah, I think May and Soul will die, which is going to cause Osha to go to the dark side, because they talk about her Force connections, because he was trained as a Jedi for 6 years or whatever it was. And so I think Osha is going to become the Sith acolyte as kind of like a swerve, because this is very much like whodunit thriller mystery series of and everybody out there complaining. I don't mean to keep talking about the people complaining, but dude, it's been 3 episodes. Give the story time to breathe. How many times have we watched a series that takes an entire first season of 23 episodes to find its footing and then gets really good?
I did see one complaint was like, oh, it was unnecessarily gay. They're pushing this woke agenda kind of thing. And it really, I didn't get that at all,
No,
because honestly, you needed this lesbian couple made sense.
it's a
They
coven
were
of witches that
witches.
made Force babies. Like, I feel like
Yes.
it made
So
sense.
to
100%.
create these children from just, unless it was like a Wonder Woman thing where they just capture a man, use him to impregnate them and then
Thanks
off
for
goes
nothing.
their
I'm a
head
Black Widow.
kind of thing. Right. Like this genuinely made sense. And I thought it was done in such a way that was like, oh, I need to know more. What? How did they do that? Oh, this is like Anakin, or is it not like Anakin because she created it and she carried them? So it was like I had more questions. So it was yeah, it's always interesting to hear things like that.
Well,
But
I don't want to go off on like the Mephisto level of theorizing,
Mephisto.
but I feel like this is going to play, because people are like, oh, this is, so they're just like erasing the whole Anakin was made through the Force. Like, that means nothing. I'm like, no, actually, I think that this is, I'm convinced that Mother Anicia is still alive, and I'm very convinced that somehow maybe she's the one that teaches Plagueis how to do this, and that is what ends up with. And maybe I'm giving these Star Wars
I
maybe
like that idea because the idea of Anakin not having a father and just being created is like, well, then he has to be the Messiah. He is the chosen one. And I mean, how much are you going to
sure he
believe
is
in
the
all of that
chosen one.
stuff?
Like sure, George Lucas even
But
said
he's
Anakin
not
was
the
the chosen one,
Messiah. So I think it makes sense to have this happen with somebody else.
and
Also,
I
do you think there's like a connection with the twins and the twins? Because you have another set of twins, and they said you can't break the thread with the twins.
wait, there's another set of twins.
You've
I
never
must have
heard
missed that.
of Luke and Leia? They were
Oh,
twins.
oh, oh, sorry. Yeah. I mean, there might have I don't know about that, but I'm very convinced that like Plagueis learned how to manipulate life in midichlorians and all of that stuff somehow. And I think all
You could
stories start from
extend life.
something.
Yeah, why not
And I
create
feel
it?
like this might be where he learned that from, if not heard stories. And that's why they introduced this method, because it's playing into the Star Wars down the road that we grew up on, and how people are complaining that it ruined the original trilogy. Not at all. If anything, it adds more lore. Like this,
Mhm,
again, this is 100 years before any of the Star Wars characters that we know besides Yoda, because he's old as dirt.
mhm.
Um, and this
Watch
starts
it not
to end.
watch it not even be magical. She just had a lab and created the kids and inserted the embryos. It was just in vitro.
It was the
That's
very
all it
first
was.
method of in vitro in the Star Wars
Yeah,
universe, actually.
that's
I
all it
wouldn't
is,
even care
guys.
about that. Like, wouldn't care. But again, like, I don't like these baseless complaints. I hate how people are so
But you know what?
dissatisfied no matter
If
what
you
happens.
do keep scrolling, you find the good comments. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna, quote Mr.
Obviously,
Rogers, but I'm
yeah,
gonna twist it. When something terrible happens, look for the helpers. When somebody shit bombs a show you like, look for the other people that like it. So
that's true.
they're out there too, and I genuinely think that there are more of more people. Okay,
Negativity and hot takes are the easiest things to latch on to because it gets a rise out of people. So of course that stuff's gonna get pushed. You're right.
but it's like in leaving a negative review. I'm way more likely to want to leave a review if I had a really bad experience than if I had a good one.
Oh, I
So
make a point to leave positive reviews for that reason, actually. Carrie
and
and I
that's
do
a
it all the time.
fantastic thing, and I end up never leaving reviews either way, but that's a fantastic thing
It's
to
okay.
do because, like, when I'm booking things or looking at things, I do read reviews, and I always take into
Agreed.
consideration that a lot of people who had a positive experience don't report because they just move on with their life, whereas
Right.
people who genuinely hate it will take to the internet, will take to the whatever, and granted, like, I think that's a great thing in certain regards because some people should be called out for their bullshit, like, "Let me know if that tour sucked so I don't book it while we're in Barcelona."
True.
Things like that. But
That
the
castle
most
better
of the
be
people
everything.
but a lot of people, like, enjoyed it, and you, like, look for those people and like the positive comments
I
and
want to
whatnot.
theorize, man. I love this obviously, as you can see, like I get really animate. Star Wars is my all-time favorite franchise. Like, if that hasn't been clear 4 years during this podcast, it is. And
Right,
I
mine's
love talking about
MCU or
this.
Marvel, yours is Star Wars
Right.
or Supernatural.
Um,
Oh my god, what's happening to me?
I watched half an episode of Supernatural last night, I'll be honest with you. I am on season 11, episode 13.
Okay, so we are in within the next week, we are gonna record the first half of season 9 then.
Oh, for some
Yes.
reason I thought you said season 11 last night. I was like, "Oh, wow." But you're right. And but that's kind of our thoughts and theories about The Acolyte. Before we do go though, I gotta ask you, Lauren, kinda, like, give us your thoughts on the Virginia beer experience, because I've been here almost a year now. I've been exploring the breweries. I took you to my favorite ones minus the Veil, and I didn't get you to take a Scott's Edition to Richmond this time. It's kinda hard, right? We had a couple
Mhm.
days, and Carrie was like, "Dude, you keep taking are you sure she even wants to keep doing this?" And I'm like, she's like,
Keep going to breweries?
"Well," she was like, "I don't want her to feel like she has to keep going to breweries and stuff." And I was like,
Nobody ever
"Sorry."
has to make me feel like
No,
I
well, that's
keep
my
going
thing.
to
But
breweries. If
so we
anything,
did.
you're okay, so, Carrie was the real fucking VIP of our freaking trip. Like, she stayed home with the kids 2 nights in a row. Not
She
just
did.
her kids,
She did.
my kids.
And they all got to dig that. She gave both of our kids foot baths and, like,
Yeah,
pampered the hell out
sending
of
us
them.
pictures of pedicures and, like,
Yeah,
my
like,
daughter got introduced to
dang.
cookout, like
Dude,
and
that
then
was
she
Brielle's
brought
highlight
them
right there.
presents home from Target, coming home with gibbets for Brielle's Crocs and, like, Pokemon cards for Lily, like, she needs to
We love
do
the kids, man. The kids are like, they're like family to us now at this point, man. Just they're a part of the family. The kids got
but,
along
like,
great.
she needs to, like, do my not my, Santa. She needs to help Santa, man, she's so good. She
That's
learned
true.
my
She's
kids
very,
like
very
that.
dude, I'm suck at gift. Carrie's very good. She's but we did. We got to. I took you to Norfolk this time. Maybe next time if there's another trip,
So
I'll take you through Richmond. But we did get to New Norfolk. That one Afterglow Brewing. Sorry, things got a little weird there, but I thought the what were your highlights of the brewery experience? Going back to beer as we close
I
the loop.
loved them so much and had so much fun that I forgot one of the breweries.
Which one did you forget? What?
Like, I don't know. I have complete like I remember
All right.
Benchtop because we started there. Obviously, I remember
No, we
Precarious. We had
started
lunch
at Smart
there.
Mouth and we had a few beers there because I
But the
stepped
first
in the
one
dog water bowl.
we had there yeah, we had
And then we
Precarious the
walked to
first day
Benchtop.
with
Yeah,
the
first stop
kids.
was Precarious.
Yeah,
What
and
okay, what
that
was your thought about
I
Precarious?
did.
Because that's one I go to often because it's close to my
Oh, I
house.
loved it. I loved the atmosphere. I thought it was great. I loved the beer. The staff that I talked to very briefly were fantastic. I loved that whole place. I thought it was great, and the sandwich I got was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, that chicken
Um,
sandwich. We had a
and
couple
then
it
that
was funny is we had a Nashville chicken sandwich there and at Aslan. I guess
oh
that's the
yeah,
thing out
we
here.
did.
It's kinda funny.
I like Nashville
I do
chicken
too.
sandwiches. They're yummy. They're the right amount of heat.
They are.
And then we got to go to New Realm, which was really cool. And Jeremy gave us a
Oh,
tour of
yeah, I
New
forgot about we had
Realm.
to tour New Realm, which is dope, and all
Yeah,
their
and the
beer and
food
stuff.
was
It smelled
fantastic.
so good in there, and the food is great.
It was that was an amazing spot. I hope we get a New Realm down here one day because that
Yeah.
was absolutely fantastic and such an amazing brewery and
Oh, yeah.
facility and the I mean, that place was massive. I was shocked
It
how
was.
massive
I
it
didn't
was.
realize how big it was back there with
I
all the
didn't
beer
either.
that they have and the brewery, and they have a catwalk around their silos, like, wow.
And it was so nice to have it, to get to see Jeremy again because,
Oh, yeah.
Jay
They're
again, anybody who's been watching us from the
he brought
beginning,
us
the Hops
together.
News yeah, if it weren't for Jay, we wouldn't
We wouldn't be
be
sitting here
doing
tonight.
this.
Yeah.
He's the chosen one, the
He
Messiah.
is.
Okay, so the next day we started at Benchtop, which I absolutely loved. I've
We did
had
Busch
them
Gar actually, hold
before.
on, we did Busch Gardens the next day. What were your thoughts on Busch Garden? I gotta know, as a Disney human,
Well,
Busch
that wasn't my first time there. I've been to Busch
that's
Gardens
fair,
in
that's fair.
Virginia
Brielle
before.
had a good time. I can tell she had a good time because she wanted to go
My
on the different roller coasters.
kids were shocked by the roller coasters, how many there were, how short the lines were. Logan, though, was like 2 inches too
Oh,
short to
we
go on
picked a
everything.
great day.
Yes, but what was funny was, like, there were rides Oliver was I felt so bad
My
because, like
son didn't want it to be tough so bad, so we took him on the first roller coaster, which is the Loch Ness. That dude was about to cry. I was like, "Bro, really? Like, you were like, what a" I get it. I
but
just didn't
Oliver
wanna
is tall for his age and Logan is short for his age.
Yeah.
And Logan loves thrill rides and Oliver doesn't. So like Logan was sad because he couldn't go on the roller coasters and then Oliver was sad because he couldn't go on the plane ride because he was too short. And he goes, "Well, can I video Logan while he's on it?" I'm like, "Sure you can, buddy. Take my phone." Cuz I think you were on a roller coaster with
Oliver
Josh.
has a really good heart. Yeah, Josh and I went to the Alpengeist, which is my favorite one.
That one was good.
I love that
That
one
was
so much.
fantastic. No, I had a lot of fun. I love going on roller coasters, and it was great that we were able to go back and forth, and the lines were so short, it was quick. My only complaint was the freaking beer prices.
Oh
But
god,
I will
$15, but
say,
20 ounces.
I've heard no, for 12 ounces, I paid $32 for 2 12-ounce beers. I don't
Well, wow. All right. I didn't
but
realize
I've
that. I thought it
heard
was
I've
yeah.
heard people recently complain about SeaWorld. So I'm guessing it's not a Virginia thing. I'm guessing it is
Well,
a
they're owned by
yeah.
SeaWorld, so that makes sense, yeah.
Because when I was saying that to somebody else, and I'm like, somebody who buys beers at Disney regularly thought the Busch Gardens beers were expensive, and somebody's like, "Oh, SeaWorld's getting to be that same." And I haven't been to SeaWorld in years, so that made sense.
But I
Um,
will say, like, their beer choices are at least decent at
oh, their beer choices are fun
Busch
yeah, great.
Gardens, yeah.
And it's kinda like Epcot because 'cause you're in different countries.
Yeah, you are. It's all European themed, but I'll give you that. But yeah,
No, I'm really
later
glad
that
we got to do that.
we did that, and
Was
then later that evening was, sorry, go ahead.
well, Kaylee was over here the other day, and we're trying to plan out London, and I said, "Logan, what do you wanna do in London?" He goes, "I wanna go on rides." I'm like, "That's not nope, that's not how that
There's a
works. You're
Ferris
not."
wheel next to our hotel, that big Ferris wheel that everyone's because we're right across the river.
We have the eye in Orlando.
S
I mean, it's
Come
a
on,
different view,
man. It doesn't
but
matter. He
yeah.
doesn't get the whole view, like, so our
But
hotel
Logan
is
just
right
thinks
across the river
everywhere you
from Big Ben,
oh,
and
that's awesome.
the, yeah, we can look at our hotel room and see Big Ben, which is kinda dope. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
You
I
should
get
do
it.
the
We gotta
river hop on, hop off tour while you're there. Like, the day we can't hang out with you because of Brielle, you should do that.
well, we're gonna do, like, some of the more tourists, maybe do the WB, maybe we're gonna do Buckingham and all that stuff because Oliver's obsessed with that,
Well, you'll be
but,
right by it.
yeah, we're just gonna walk across the bridge, which is cool as shit. Um,
Yeah, so, okay, Benchtop I really liked. Then where did we go?
we went Smart Mouth to Benchtop to Afterglow, where we had that one beer where my friends got trapped into their baby lesbian thing.
What?
Oh, you didn't remember that? Oh, so I have two friends. They're married. I love them to death. They're
Veronica I talked to for a
Veronica
while.
and
I
Reve. Like I love them to
freaking
death.
loved her.
There was a girl at the bar who they called their baby gay because
Oh, yeah, I do
yeah,
remember
so
that.
like they got stuck there talking
Yes.
because we
Which
initially went there
brewery was
because
that?
that was Afterglow. So we went there
Okay.
initially
That's
because
the
there
one
was a
I did
very
not.
good beer called it had marshmallows in it that we had on May the 4th. Well, they're all out. And so like they got trapped in a conversation. Josh and I were talking for a while and then after that we went to Commonwealth, which I loved Commonwealth. They had this peanut butter
I
and
loved
jelly sour,
Commonwealth
which
too.
rocked my fucking world,
And
dude.
we bought the stouts there.
I still have one in my fridge actually. I
I
haven't
think
drank it yet.
we drank like 2 of them at the
Josh was
hotel.
even impressed. You gave one a kid. Or yes.
Yes, I enjoyed one with Kaylee. We shared one with her. It's so
Um,
funny, but she likes the heavy dark beers, but she doesn't like the lighter beers.
yeah. But no, it was a good
So we
trip,
get to drink
man.
with her in, Europe.
We
That's so
do. It's
fun.
funny. Every website I go on to check for breweries in London, they ask me if I'm 18 or older. I'm like, this is weird.
Well, you
And
texted
then
me and I was sitting with Kaylee and we were planning stuff and I said that and she just kinda giggled.
that's exciting. I think because right next to the London Bridge, because there's 5 breweries in a row, and I was sending them all to you. 5 breweries on the same street, which that Friday we got it because Kevin Carey's like, I think the idea of like going to a London pub is really exciting.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh,
so all
Kaylee
right,
found a London pub that was like a not a monastery. It was something like it looks really cool. Okay.
I know we're gonna go to Deadpool and Wolverine, the 4 of us, and maybe more like that 8 p.m. that
I
night,
think
but
it'll
we
just be the
should
4 of us.
well, hear me out then. I'm thinking we should at least hit up a pub or two on that side of London before we go to the movies. As adults
Yeah.
only, like no kids. I'm
Then we
just
can
saying.
see the movie twice brand new. I love this idea.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. We hit up some pubs
I
before we
mean,
go to the movies, go out together like a little double date action. Like I think that'd be dope. In
I
London,
was
nonetheless.
actually very drunk when I saw Deadpool 2 and I saw it with Erica and Ski.
Ah,
Ski's never seen a Marvel movie in his life, and we took him to Deadpool 2.
yes. See, I think that'd be cool because there's like of close because you guys are on the other side of the river there, the Thames. And so like there's 5 breweries in a row, and then there's that London Sky Bar and all that stuff. But Carrie's excited. All the breweries are like look like castles and stuff, which I think is the coolest thing on earth. Um,
Mhm.
I haven't even researched Barcelona breweries necessarily, but the London, because we're
I
there for
have.
those 2 days, like really exciting. There's a lot of cool stuff. They have a lot of I'm excited. I am so excited for
I have
London.
at least one brewery that should be good to hit for every port in Barcelona.
Hell yeah. Well, I
But
sent you the list of breweries I thought for England at least. So I've done that much.
I have on our calendar for that day when Deadpool and Wolverine come out that we are doing whatever Carrie and Matt wanna do.
Yeah, I mean, we'll walk around, do all that stuff, but I definitely think that maybe like the 4 of us should go out to dinner somewhere and grab a beer or two at a pub that, because I just think you have to do that in Europe, right? Obviously,
Well, and
whatever
we can
Kaylee wants,
drink in
but
the theater too. That's why
well,
I
I know
made
we
sure
could
that
drink in
there
the
was
theater. I was just
but
thinking
I
more
made
of like
sure of that
the
because I need to have a
I was
proper
thinking the
pint.
full adult experience of getting to actually drink without kids in the city, and I just think it's cool. I was researching a lot of their beers. A lot of their beers are 5% or lower, but there is one brewery on that strip um, that has like some stouts and things that sounds really cool. Everything looks dope. I am so excited for London.
I'm more
I'm get,
excited for London than I am
you
Barcelona
guys
this year.
checked in. I can't check in until midnight Sunday night, so I thankfully you checked in, so now I know what to do. Us peasants don't get to check in until Monday. I know. Sorry. I don't really care where I'm at. I'm on the fucking
Well,
boat. I don't care.
that's a new thing though they started. So anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, it's Disney Cruise Line. Once you go on 5 cruises, you're gold. So it means you just get to book stuff earlier, which a lot
It's
of
my
times it
first
sells out
cruise
right away
ever.
anyways.
So
Which is so funny. But they changed things during COVID. So when you used to go on the cruise, you'd get there and like you could take pictures with Captain Mickey and you'd have to go and wait in a line and check in like an airport kind of thing. So
yeah,
during COVID, they wanted to minimize that. And so everything was online to where when we got to because we did one
brewery
cruise for
recommendation.
Keely's graduation.
Beavertown Brewery. All
Oh, that
right.
sounds good.
Okay. Our boy coming through, man. I love you.
So you do everything online and we literally just walk basically straight on the ship once you're in the terminal, which is fantastic. But it
That's
took us so
nice.
long to check in last night because this is the first cruise I've done where I didn't just get in my car and drive home because I've only cruised out of Florida. So yeah, I had to fill
I've
out.
never cruised. I have no idea I was like, geez, that's a lot of stuff.
I mean, I don't even know how many cruises I've done in my life because growing up in Florida, it's a cheap vacation. You
Oh,
hop on
yeah.
a cruise. I mean, for a minimal amount of money, and I did it as a kid
Sure.
many times. I've gone with my girlfriends before, gone with Josh, but it's always out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, or Orlando. So this will be the first time ever I'm not going out of Florida.
I'm
It's a
pumped.
whole bunch of new stuff. It's gonna be fun. I'm very
A
excited.
whole new
And
world,
it'll
you
be
might say.
so a whole new world. But it'll also be so fun once we're on the boat because you're gonna have clean sheets. You're gonna have fantastic customer service. Your kids are gonna be taken care of. It's
And
just that
dude, we get 2 full I'm actually really excited for
sense
the
of
2 full days on the
comfort.
boat because I do wanna explore the boat a good amount. Like, I wanna actually, because I don't want it to be one of those things where, like, we're on this cruise and we're at ports, checking out the port. Like, I'm excited to check out the ports, don't get me wrong, but I'm really excited for those 2 days, 3 days at sea where we actually get to explore the boat because I'm like, "That's what we're here, we're on a cruise. I wanna explore this shit." And then we
Or
get to
yeah.
throw our kids in a fucking daycare and we get to just party and stuff and,
And
like, dude.
Cinderella reads them bedtime stories.
Yeah,
I
like,
will say the Disney is the only cruise line that I want to be on the boat. Every other cruise line, I just want to be at port and just,
fair. Disney does it. I mean, I'm sorry, like,
yeah.
call me a shill, whatever. For all the
No,
things
once you cruise Disney, it's
Disney does it right.
hard to go back, yeah. No, I
Disney
got
does customer service better than anybody.
Well, and I think I've told this story before with my friend Lexi. Like a couple of years ago, it was 2019. It was before COVID. A group of us, there was like 10 of us girls that were going to go to Dominican Republic, and all of a sudden, American tourists started dying. There was something wrong with the liquor and whatnot, and our
Oh, yeah,
parents
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
concerned. Yeah. So when people at like Margaritaville were dying, my dad's like, "I don't think you should go." And other of our literally, I mean, we're all like in our mid to late 30s at that point, and our parents are like, "You guys shouldn't go." So we did a 3-day cruise to the Bahamas, and I remember thinking like, who the hell wants to go on a 3-day cruise to the Bahamas on a Royal Caribbean? This is terrible. Whatever. We'll be away from the husband and kids. It'll be cheap.
Fair.
We'll go. But then the whole time I kept making comments like, well, on Disney they do this. And I kept biting my tongue too. And these are friends I've had since I was in high school. So it's
Right.
like, it's my comfort zone. I can say what I want. And yes, they're going to judge me, but they're going to judge me to my face. And so then we finally got Lexi on her first Disney cruise a year and a half later, and we're in the middle of a show on the Mickey boat, and it's Rapunzel, and there's lanterns coming down the aisle. She
Bro.
squeezes my arm, looks at me with tears in her eyes, going, "I get it now."
I might cry. Yeah, no, legit, like, Harper's gonna lose her mind. My kids went up to there's these 2 little girls up the road that were doing, like, a yard sale. Both kids saw it. I was like, "Take $5, dude, whatever." They went up, like, 2 stuffed animals that we washed and everything, but one of them was, Aurora, because Harper is obsessed with Disney princesses, and so, like, the fact that she's gonna get to see all these Disney princesses and Oliver's gonna just get to probably see superheroes, and I mean, I think he's more excited to see Logan at this point than anything else, if I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, that's his big thing, and so it's just it's awesome. It's a once in a lifetime thing that I never thought I would do in my life. And so just thinking about it, how I never went to Disney as a kid. And now here I am taking my kids to Europe on a cruise with like some of the best friends that I've gotten a chance to meet, like Ski and Erica and you and Josh and
I can't wait
Tracy,
to
I get to
meet
meet for the first
Tracy.
time. And just the fact that we all get to go together and like have this big family vacation is just fucking rad, man, for all the shitty stuff happening in the world. Yeah, I'm leaving for 6 months in September to like that's why I was talking. I was like, dude, fucking, we're going to ball out because I got to go to the desert, the Middle East for 6 months come this September. So I'm going to miss everything. So I'm missing all the birthdays. The kids are really having a hard time with it. They talk about it every day, how like much they're struggling with it, which kind of weighs on me too. So I'm like, fuck this, dude. We're balling out. We're gonna have a good time. So I'm excited. And then of course this year, like shit, we've gotten to hang out this year more than we have at all. And I'm just fucking pumped, man. I'm excited. I'm so excited.
I know it's coming up soon too.
I
It
know
felt like it was
it's about
forever ago when we booked
it's
it.
I today is the 12th. Yeah, dude, I leave in 32 days. So can't wait. As for we did talk to Acolyte tonight. We talked to some beer news as we begin to kind of wrap up here. Otherwise, I'm just gonna gush about, and come off as entitled, and I don't want to mean to do that. Dude, thank you all for hanging out, talking Acolyte with us. For those of you guys in the chat, thanks for popping in the chat
Did you
and
see
hanging out with us.
Maynard Brewer said the London Eye is awesome. We probably should
The
do it. I've
London
never
Eye.
done the
You
Orlando
should. It's
one.
next to my hotel, man. Pop over, man. We'll do the London Eye. We'll take the kids on it. Hopefully, it doesn't go back and forth like the Disneyland one.
Oh, I like the Disneyland one that flies.
That was my
Oh, it's so
nightmare,
fun.
dude. No, fuck that.
No, the
I
first
mean,
time we went on it, Logan was 6 months in the carrier, and I'm looking at Josh. I'm like, should he be in here?
I thought I was gonna die.
That was amazing.
Absolutely not. No, man, we're gonna do a lot of cool stuff. Thank you everybody for supporting the show. If you would like to support the show, we are gonna be getting ready to go with our patrons. Where last month we did Madam Web. It
We're
was
sorry, guys. We're
it was
sorry.
an experience. Now we're
It
figuring
was
out a
fun.
date in June where we are going to be talking. We're gonna watch together the very first Fantastic Four movie, with Chris Evans and
Oh,
Jessica
okay. We did say
Alba.
that.
We're gonna do that one, man, because we're getting ready to
That
go
was
into
Riley's
Deadpool.
recommendation, right?
Yes, it was mine.
Okay.
Well, they Pat recommended Miles Teller's Fantastic Four. I said, no, screw that. We're gonna have fun with
That
this
one's
one.
really bad.
It is. That's why I said we're gonna have fun. We watched a really bad, painful movie. We're gonna watch a bad,
Okay.
fun movie. But the
Perfect.
only way to get in on those where Lauren and I play a drinking game, but you don't have to drink. This podcast may talk
We
about
do,
beer.
but it can be water.
We don't care. Like if you don't like to drink, period, you can still come and have fun with us. It's all about watching the movie together with friends and basically just talking crap or just sharing our thoughts and all hanging out together socially, virtually. That's what it's all about. So you don't feel pressure to drink. None of that stuff ever on this podcast. We do just like beer. That's what we do. So patreon.com/hopsgeeknews is where you can support the show, where it comes into things like doing Cantina Hours. Frequently it goes into, hopefully pretty soon, patrons are going to get some cool new maybe merch, some stickers, some other things with Lauren's new design with Steamboat Mickey,
Steambach Willie.
Steambach Willie, who has the Hops Geek News gear on, maybe some friendship bracelets if we can bribe the right people, and lots of cool other things, man. You get ad-free episodes, all of that good stuff. Support that. Like, subscribe, share, follow. That's how the podcast can grow. Aside from that, that's why we get to go to Comic-Cons, all of that really good stuff. We get to do that because you guys follow us, you support us. So thank you everybody for doing that. And then weekly comic book reviews, nerdinitiative.com. They start Tuesday at 9 a.m., Wednesday at 9 a.m., Tuesdays DC, Wednesdays everything else. Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern is Turn a Page. I'm also leading the charge with Star Wars over there. Lauren's going to be talking The Boys. Starting next week, we are going to be doing The Boys recaps and Acolyte recaps. So get ready because we're going to be talking those two things.
And
And
I have a lot of feelings. I know it already.
We're going to be all in the feelings. Thanks everybody for hanging out. We will see you guys next week with a brand new episode where we talk about at what point did geek culture turn into pop culture, and talk about just that road and that path and all of the good nostalgia. Come down the nostalgia yellow brick road with us and our good pal, Tom, the pop culture connoisseur. Only way to do it. Hops Geek News. That's where you find us. Do it. We'll see you next week.